Ready to dive into some really interesting stuff with us. We're taking a deep dive into IsoTone, this new fitness thing that's claiming to do it all. We've got the product descriptions, exercise guides, even some early scientific analyses right here.
And there is a lot to unpack, believe me. The breadth of what they're going for is huge. They're not just talking about getting ripped. They're saying this could be a game changer for preventing and even tackling some serious health problems.
So our mission today is to give everyone the inside scoop on IsoTone. What's really interesting and maybe even revolutionary and what's just hype.
We'll be digging into the science behind their claims, the tech, and most importantly, whether IsoTone can actually live up to all the hype.
Because we've all seen those fitness gadgets that sound amazing and end up in the back of the closet. But okay, let's start with the basics. What exactly is IsoTone?
So basically, it's a portable resistance-based fitness device. Like imagine something small enough to take anywhere, but designed for a full-body workout.
And it's not just your typical resistance training, am I right?
Yeah.
I was reading that IsoTone uses continuous resistance to make workouts more efficient.
You're right, they're really pushing that. See, with regular weights, your muscles are only working like half the time, right? You're pushing or pulling, but isotone is supposed to engage your muscles through the entire range of motion.
So you're constantly working against that resistance, like running uphill versus coasting down.
Exactly. And that's supposed to burn more calories and activate your muscles more than your typical dumbbells or weight machines.
That's pretty cool. But it gets really interesting when they start talking about preventing and even treating illnesses. I mean, they claim this thing can help with everything from heart disease to even a cold.
They're definitely not afraid of bold claims, but to be fair, some of them aren't as crazy as they might sound at first. Like, we know exercise is super important for a healthy heart.
Right, getting your heart rate up is good for you. But what's isotone's role?
Well, they say that continuous resistance is actually way better for your heart than, say, lifting weights. Just imagine a workout that keeps your heart rate up constantly. It's like high-intensity interval training, but with resistance.
So you're training your heart to be a lean, mean pumping machine. What about some other conditions? Like they mentioned type 2 diabetes. I'm always skeptical when a fitness gadget claims to impact something that complex.
Skepticism is good, but it's interesting you bring up type 2 diabetes because isotone's approach actually lines up with what doctors already know. Like,
Yeah.
we know exercise can really help your body use insulin better, which is huge for managing blood sugar.
So isotone could help people with type 2 diabetes control their blood sugar better, but only because it's helping them get more exercise.
Exactly. It's not a diabetes cure. It's a tool to help people make positive changes. And actually, this idea of empowerment through exercise comes up a lot with isotone.
Like it's about taking charge of your health.
Yeah. And you see this proactive approach when they talk about obesity, too. They're not saying it's a miracle weight loss cure, more like a tool that works with medication and lifestyle changes.
So it's a piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. And they really highlight how easy isotone is to use, which can help make those changes stick. They even have this special version called Isotone Aqua just for working out in the pool.
Wait, what? Resistance training in the pool? How does that even work?
I know, right? But it's actually really clever. So you're getting all the muscle building benefits, but with less stress on your joints. The water provides natural resistance, making it great for people of all ages and fitness levels.
It's like resistance training and aquatherapy, all at the same time. Plus, working out in water keeps you cool, even if your muscles are burning.
Exactly. They talk about how you can work out longer and harder without overheating because the water keeps you cool. They say being in the water can even help with circulation and reduce muscle soreness.
Okay, I'm into it. But let's go back to those other conditions. I noticed they mentioned osteoporosis, which is a big concern as we age.
And for good reason. We naturally lose bone density as we get older, but exercise can help slow that down.
So how does isotone help with osteoporosis?
Muscle strength. It's all about strengthening those muscles that support your spine and other areas. That can help you keep your bone density and potentially avoid fractures.
It's not just about big muscles then. It's about strengthening your body in a way that helps you stay healthy as you get older.
Exactly. And there are studies that show resistance training can be just as good, if not better, than lifting weights for building bone density.
Wow, that's fascinating. It seems like isotone is taking this whole body approach to fitness, not just focusing on how you look.
Totally. It's about moving beyond just wanting six-pack abs. It's about feeling good in your body, having the energy to do what you love, and maybe even avoiding some of those health challenges that come with age.
That's a breath of fresh air. It's not about fitting into a smaller size. It's about feeling good.
Exactly. And that brings us to one of the most intriguing and maybe controversial things about isotone, its potential to impact a whole bunch of other conditions besides the ones we've already talked about.
Okay, you've got my attention. We're talking about things like depression and anxiety, chronic pain,
Yeah.
even things like respiratory diseases and cancer.
Yep, you got it. And that's where their claims get really big and where we need to be a little more skeptical.
I agree. I can see the link between exercise and things like strong bones or managing blood sugar. But how are they saying isotone could impact complex things like respiratory disease or cancer?
And that's the kind of critical thinking we need as we continue looking at isotone. Talking about exercise in general is one thing, but it's a whole different ballgame to say this one device can influence such complicated health issues.
So we're keeping an open mind, but we're also being cautious about isotone's broader claims.
Exactly. And that's what we'll be doing in the next part of our deep dive. We'll be digging into the actual science behind their claims, the research, and figuring out what's hype and what's real.
Stay tuned. Things are about to get really interesting.
So we were talking about how isotone works, and it's not just about, breaking a sweat. There's some really interesting tech involved.
Yeah, I was curious about that effort gauge they keep mentioning. That seems way more high-tech than those basic calorie counters you usually see. What's the deal with that?
Well, from what I understand, it's a sensor that actually measures how much force you're using during your workout, not just how many reps.
So it's analyzing your actual effort level throughout the whole exercise.
Yeah, exactly. It's like having a tiny lab in your isotone. And get this, all that data is synced to an app so you can track your progress, set goals, even share it with your doctor or physical therapist.
Wow, okay, now that's useful. I can see how that personalized data would be great for staying motivated and making sure you're progressing safely.
And they're really emphasizing that isotone as a bridge between general fitness and actual physical therapy.
Which makes sense, because we were talking earlier about how isotone could be helpful for things like osteoporosis, strengthening those specific muscle groups. But they mentioned using it for all kinds of rehab.
Absolutely. Like, imagine you're recovering from an injury. You need to rebuild strength. But regular weights are too much, too soon. Isotone lets you adjust the resistance as you get stronger.
So it's perfect for that post-injury phase when you need to be careful but consistent.
Exactly. And because it's so portable, you could continue those exercises at home, even while traveling, which makes it way easier to stick with it.
That could really change things up. I'm seeing how this could make physical therapy way more accessible and even, dare I say, fun.
Speaking of fun, let's get back to the actual workouts. They keep talking about how versatile isotone is and how it engages your whole body.
Yeah, they mention a wide spectrum of exercises, but what does that actually look like?
Well, even though it's small, isotone is made for a surprising range of movements. Think everything from squats and lunges to core work, back exercises, even those smaller stabilizing muscles.
It's not just about bulking up then. It's about functional strength, the kind you need for everyday life.
Exactly. They give examples of using it for, like, improving your golf swing or even just having better posture, which, let's face it, most of us could use after all that sitting.
Okay, I'm convinced about the versatility. But now I need to know about those more out there things they mention, like using isotone to fight off a cold.
Ah, yes, the cold fighting strategy. I'll admit I was skeptical at first.
Me too. It sounds a little intense.
Well, they're suggesting that if you use isotone to raise your body temperature at the very first sign of a cold, you might be able to stop the virus from multiplying so quickly. It could give your immune system a fighting chance.
So instead of waiting to get sick, you're using exercise to make your body a hostile environment for the virus.
Basically. But, and this is a big but, this is all theoretical. We know our bodies raise our temperature to fight infection, but trying to do it on purpose with exercise could be risky.
Yeah, no one should be ditching their cold medicine for a workout at the first sign of a sniffle.
Absolutely not. This is serious stuff and should only be done with the doctor's guidance, if at all.
For sure, safety first. But, it shows that isotone is willing to try new things, even if those things require a big old warning label.
And that's what makes this so interesting, right? We're not just talking about a gadget, we're talking about what technology can and can't do for our health.
Exactly. But now for the big question. Is there any science to back up these wilder claims, or are we in snake oil territory?
That is the million-dollar question. And to answer it, we have to look at the actual research behind isotone, which is what we'll be doing in the final part of our deep dive.
Don't go anywhere, because things are about to get really interesting. All right, let's get down to it. The science. Does the research actually back up isotone's claims, Or is this just really good marketing?
It's a big question, right? Because as cool as all this sounds, we want to know if it actually holds up.
Absolutely. So let's revisit some of those claims, starting with heart health. We talk about strengthening the heart, improving circulation, even reversing early heart disease.
They're not messing around with those claims. But the good news is there's already a ton of research on this. We know exercise, especially cardio and resistance training, is great for your heart.
So there's a basis for their claims, even if it's not isotone-specific research.
Exactly. There are studies showing that exercise can lower blood pressure, improve your cholesterol, reduce the risk of blood clots, even help your heart pump blood better. So they're not just making this stuff up, it's rooted in science.
That's good to know. What about type 2 diabetes? That one seems tricky. How do they back that up?
That's another area where the research backs them up, at least generally. Physical activity, and especially resistance training, can really improve how your body responds to insulin, which is crucial for managing blood sugar.
So using isotone could mean better blood sugar control for people with type 2 diabetes, but just because it's getting them to exercise consistently.
Precisely. It's not a cure for diabetes, but it's a tool to help people make those important lifestyle changes.
Right. It's about taking an active role in your health. And speaking of being proactive, we talked about obesity management too. They mentioned it working alongside medication. But can exercise really make a difference with weight loss?
That's the million-dollar question, and the answer, like most health stuff, is complicated. Exercise alone might not be enough to completely reverse obesity for everyone, but it's a huge piece of the puzzle.
So it's not just about burning calories.
Right. Exercise, especially resistance training like IsoTone focuses on, helps you build muscle. And more muscle means your metabolism gets a boost, so you burn more calories even when you're not working out.
That's pretty convincing. Okay, what about some of the less conventional claims, like managing chronic pain? How can a fitness device help with that?
I know, it seems a bit strange at first. Chronic pain is complex, but IsoTone's approach of strengthening and stabilizing muscles actually lines up with what some physical therapists do.
So instead of masking pain with meds, you're addressing potential causes, like weak muscles.
Exactly. IsoTone could help people rebuild strength, be more flexible, and maybe even rely less on pain medication over time.
That's pretty amazing if it's true, giving people the power to manage their own pain. I do have to say, though, the whole fighting a cold with exercise thing still seems like a stretch.
Yeah, that's one of their more controversial claims, and we have to be careful about that one. There is some very early research suggesting that raising body temperature might slow down viruses, but intentionally giving yourself a fever by exercising is risky.
Right. Definitely don't skip the cold medicine and head straight for the gym.
Definitely not. This is very new, largely unproven stuff. And anything to do with messing with your body temperature should only be done with a doctor's okay.
100%. Safety first. But it does say something about isotone that they're willing to explore these new ideas, even if they need a big warning label for now.
And that's what makes all of this so interesting, right? We're not just looking at a new gadget, we're thinking about the future of health and technology.
Totally. So as we wrap up our isotone deep dive, we want to hear from you.
What do you think about all of this?
Does isotone intrigue you, or are you a little more skeptical?
Keep digging into this stuff, do your research, talk to your doctor, and see if isotone fits into your life and your health goals.
Because the best deep dives are the ones that get us thinking, keep us curious, and help us make informed choices about our own well-being.
Until next time, stay curious.